Now let's move on to the last of your 4 parts in this video, the part you are least aware of. And also everyone else is least aware of it because it's so far away from you and it is so subjective. It is the unconscious. Of course, the unconscious also has its place in the mental seal and it can be seen there as the outer purple circle. I chose the outer circle because it encloses everything else. It is above everything else, and violet is traditionally the color of spirituality and enlightenment. And that's what the unconscious is all about, because it's the spiritual body. Its structure is difficult to describe because the unconscious is not constantly developing. It is there and we don't know what it is or why it is. It's omnipresent and it's definitely not physical. Since it is omnipresent, it moves in all time frames, the past, the here and now, so the present, and also in the future. It just includes the subconscious, the conscious and the unconscious. It's hard to understand, I'll admit, but over time you'll understand what is meant. And it doesn't necessarily get any easier in terms of the meta way of working either. Of course, it's omnipotent here too, and we can't say exactly how it works, if it works at all. Because it is there in the future, in the present and in the past, and it contains everything, all the answers, all the solutions, everything is there. We cannot properly comprehend its aspects at the level we are at now. But what we can define are the brainwaves in which a connection to the unconscious can be established. And these are the delta waves, the waves that we produce in deep sleep. And with these wave patterns in the brain, we can make contact to the unconscious. But more on that later when it comes to communication. Since we can't really define its properties, we can really only refer to what being unconscious can do for us. It is definitely, as an actual quality, a part of something higher, something we don't understand until we have looked at it. One can say it's our spirituality. It is the spiritual that can perhaps also bring meaning to our existence. As our life progresses, the connection with spirituality will grow. A teenager will usually not have access to a spirituality. It has to develop slowly. We can perhaps assume that small children, babies, still feel a connection to spirituality, to our unconscious, in order to keep a certain basic trust. But of course, we can't remember that anymore. If we can make this connection as our life progresses, then at some point we will also find meaning in our lives. One could assume that the unconscious in our dreams, so in the period in which we are actually not conscious, might give us support and consolation and also strength and hope for the tasks that we are faced with in the here and now, in our physical world. And it certainly knows in advance, since it is present at all times, what will happen and what is right. But a part of us has to connect all this together, recognize the experiences first and make them ourselves, and therefore it will be completely neutral and neither say we shouldn't do anything or we should do something. That is not the task of the unconscious. So the unconscious allows everything. It won't stop you from anything. As I said, it's timeless and knows the outcome anyway. The unconscious has an omnipresence and thus develops or has an emergent function of the whole. Perhaps the goal here is development on a level that we cannot yet imagine. Let's get to the field of communication, and here too, it is less a communication than actually a contact that is made. Everything, including communication, is absolutely subjective, super vague, I'll admit that, but because it's just as subjective, it has a very personal meaning for each individual. Communication externally from the unconscious. For that, we really have to make 3 big question marks. We can't understand that in any way. Internally towards ourselves, we also have images and inspirations again. If you have been searching for an answer for a long time, you may be lucky that your unconscious will provide you with an answer to your question through some visions, some images and inspirations. In fact, communication takes place mainly in dreams and in those addressed before intuition. If we ask ourselves why we should connect at all or allow communication, then the only answer to the question is that the unconscious can provide a little hope through the meaning that arises in spirituality. And for this reason, the task of creating a connection with it is also correspondingly important. I know, this part of your being is the part that is the least definable, the most subjective, but still I hope you enjoyed the video about it. And I assume that you will watch this video again in the future when you have collected a little more information or experience, and maybe you have a little better understanding because of it. You can abstract what I'm saying or what your experiences will transfer you. Anyway, if you enjoyed it, please like the video, share it with others, and if you have any further questions, you can write these questions down in the comment field. I then try to answer them or make another video on this topic. Thank you for watching and good luck in creating a connection to your unconscious.